Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Grow webinar. I hope you can hear me clearly, and I hope you're excited because I'm really excited for today. If you're at the Grow webinar or the Vision Board session last year, I'm very sure that this slide is very familiar, but not to worry, there's so many other things that I've added, so many additional knowledge I've gained in 1 year. And I'm so excited to be on this call to share my little experience, expertise, and things that I've been able to do to grow career-wise, professionally, personally, and spiritually. So today we are starting the Grow webinar. And on today's agenda, we have introduction to the session, reviewing your year, setting goals and smashing them, what to do with visions and prophecy, and creating your own vision board. And then we go to the Q&A, which is like my favorite part. We sent a form earlier for people who want to ask questions, but in case you didn't get to see the form somehow and you didn't get to also join our previous Q&A, that is absolutely fine. We're going to open the floor to 10 people because of time for Q&A. So you could drop your questions in the chat box later, or raise your hand when the time is right. Like I said earlier, welcome everyone, and I'm really excited to be here. So we're going to start with introducing the session. But before then, I want to do a very quick check-in. I want to know how you're feeling, and I want to know if you're seated in a very quiet place, no noise, no distraction, so that you can get the best out of what you paid for. I also hope that you have a pen and book like me, because I also write things, and I think that's one of the ways I remember a lot of things that I say or listen to when people are talking. So very quickly, if you don't have these apps, you might want to download them. It's not compulsory, but the Canva one is kind of compulsory if you want to create an e-vision board and not the physical one. And I kind of like Pinterest because I can get like the kind of images that I like, but it's not a must for you to have Pinterest. If you don't have Pinterest, your Google or your Safari or your Chrome, anything is fine, any search engine that you have. So let's begin the session, and I hope that you're ready. We're going to start with reviewing your year, and in the drive that I sent, there is a workbook that I put there for reviewing your year. I'm going to stop sharing this particular screen and go to that workbook so that you can guide yourself to also fill it. In case you didn't print it, that is fine. You can use the question prompt if you have a book or your pad with you. Just give me 1 second. So this is how I review my year. These are the things that I use personally, and it has always worked for me. Because many people, the thing that we do is this is 2023, and then boom, January is another new year. Oh, let me set new goals. Let me do new things. But if you don't review what you have done in the past few years, there's nothing you want to improve on in that sense. So here are some of the questions that I ask myself. You can print this out. You can use it later after this call. First question, what were my top 5 accomplishments? It might not be anything grand. It might not be getting into school. It might not be doing anything big, right? But what was that one thing that you said you were going to do that you did this year? I think for me was, checking, e.g., last 2 years or last year, I told myself that, oh, I wanted to connect more with my family. I used to connect with them, but life got busy. And I realized that I was, drawing away from them little by little. And I had to like make conscious effort to do that. For me, that was an accomplishment. It might not be for you, right? I'm just trying to show you that what is an accomplishment to me might not be an accomplishment to you. So you might want to list out, okay, this year I was able to do this. Oh, I got better at work. I got better with getting feedback. I got better with internalizing feedback. So what were the top 5 things that you got and you did well, right? And then what were the top 5 things that you learned? For me, I will also give example here. Top 5 things that I learned this year is that show your work. I don't even know how best to explain it, but show your work. Even if you do the best thing in this life, people will not know you except you go out there and say, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm very good at this thing. Work with me. nobody's going to know about you. And it's not a curse. It's just normal, right? So nobody lights a candle and puts it under the bushel. That was one very big thing I learned this year, because all the opportunities, at least 95% of the opportunities I got career-wise, were because somebody found me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I mean, it was just so funny. But it also showed me that people are out there looking for people to work with. But if you are there and you're not putting yourself out there, they might not find you. So that's one of the top 5 things I learned. And then the second thing I learned is that, your body is not a machine. You need to like block rest time, spend more time with people that you love, in your community and things like that. And some of these things I learned in a bad way. Some of them I learned forcefully. Some of them I learned, just by thinking about the things that I'm probably going through, and just like that and just like that. And I think one other thing that I learned this year is that if you're not a savior to anybody. So I was very confident with saying no a lot this year. I said no to a lot of things, and my health was really grateful for that. So I'm saying all of this so that when you are feeling your own, or you're writing down your own, you're not thinking too far. Oh, I did not buy a car this year, I did not get a house. They're just basic things, to be honest. And then top 5 things, I'm grateful for so many things, of course, but I don't want to bore you with that, but you can feel that yourself. And then top 5 things I need to improve. First of all, I don't want to come late to anything, just like this one. I want to get better with arriving on time if I'm being invited to places, which I actually do, but maybe just get it to 100, right? I want to be very excellent with my writing, things like that. I'm listing all these things as basic as they can be, but these are the things that can literally shape your life. Other things I need to improve on personally for me is to, you know, probably, spend more time with my friends. Of course, I do that, but not as much as I want. Now, if you check all the examples I'm giving, these are things that are very personal to me, because I feel like if you don't take care of yourself personally as an individual, you're not able to achieve any other thing that you put on your goal setting workbook, right? So let me know if all these things resonate with you in the chat box, and if I'm making sense at any point, and if this workbook is actually useful for you. I always print it out so that it's easy for me to see, right? And say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm going to do, right? So I'll stop sharing this screen, and then I'll go straight to goal setting. I hope we're getting 1 or 2 things. So I'll go straight to sharing my other screen. Okay. I'm not much of a Texas, so you guys will pardon me. All right. So how to set goals and smash them. This was a slide I used last year, and it still applies to the way I set my goals. New year, same setting of how I set my goals. So I share my goals into 3 parts. This is what I do, right? Into 3 parts: personal, spiritual, and professional. For you, you can decide to like share it how you want it. Into 3 parts. The first one is the personal. This personal, there are other things that fall under personal, right? I have financial goals, I have personal goals, I have health goals, I have relationship goals, I have friendship goals, I have giving goals, and I can break them down one by one. So under personal, like financial goals might be, oh, I want to save. I might not even say, oh, I want to save this amount of money. It could be, I want to save every 10% of any income I get in 2023, right? For relationship goals, it could be that, you want to reach out to your friends better, you want to reach out to your parents, your family members, you want to be a better friend, you want to be able to be there for people. Things are very personal to you. Health goals could be, okay, this is the year that I go to gym and get 6 packs. This is the year that, I will run for 5 minutes and I'll be panting like something else. So these are really, really personal goals that you can set for yourself, and you don't need to look at any other person's goal, because you know yourself better. I mean, I like to be very realistic. I won't write, e.g., I've not started going to the gym. So if I have it on my goal to go to the gym in 2024, I'll not say go to the gym every day. I could start with 3 times a week so that there's ginger for me to go, right? And I know that I'm not doing it overboard. I'm just going gradually and steadily. Another thing under personal is I've mentioned health and fitness goal. I mentioned relationship. I've mentioned financial goals. Also, I have giving goals. Okay, this is the amount, like the highest amount I can give in a month. You know, who am I giving this money to? Which organization am I giving this money to? Or how am I spending this giving money? You know, what percentage is the max I can do per month, right? These are things that I do, and I think it could work for any other person. And then under professional goals, everything in my career, profession falls under this one. So it could be professional growth, or career growth, as you may call it, for people who work 9 to 5. It could be that, oh, you were at entry level this year, and you say, okay, next year, I want to get into maybe a junior level role. But beyond that, what are the things that I need to do? So I will get to that aspect. I'm just trying to show you some of the examples of what I set under my professional goals. Another thing I do under my professional goal is my social media for growth. This might not apply to everybody because not everybody likes social media, but trust me, like social media is your global ticket to any country, any place, anybody's mind, right? If you're doing it the right way. So last year I realized I was not, or let me say, yeah, last year I realized I was not using my LinkedIn optimally. Although I got my first internship, paid internship in London through my LinkedIn. So I know how powerful the platform can be. And this year I was able to, like, you know, consistently post there. I'm more of an Instagram person, but I know that my career, the people who are in my space, they are more on LinkedIn. And if you find them on Instagram, they're always posting very funny stuff like birds, nature. I'm like, okay, this is not where to find these people. So I made a conscious effort to replicate whatever I post on my Instagram to LinkedIn. So I don't need to write new things. I just change the way I speak and the formalities to fit the audience on that platform, right? So that could also be under your professional growth. Another thing I do is my reading and writing professional goal. So maybe this year I want to read more articles in this field, because I believe that you can't even grow without consuming knowledge. It's just basic, right? And even when consuming, always make sure that you're also giving out, right? Because there's always somebody below you that needs to know what you know. So what are the things I'm putting out? Or am I sharing carousels on how I'm able to transition from tech to no tech to no tech to tech, and all those kind of things, right? So those things fall under my professional growth. It could also be, under this, it's also one of the things I also do, because I like to give a lot. Okay, maybe these are my mentors. This is what I'm going to do for them every 2 months. Is there a way I can serve these people? Oh, these are the people I look up to in this space. How do I reach out to them? How many of them am I reaching out to in 1 month? So these are the things that I set under my professional goal. One thing about goal setting, you have to be as clear as possible and not bombard yourself. Because one of the things I've seen is that, oh, everybody has like this very big Excel sheet where there are just so many things. But with goal setting, to be very honest, you just need pointers. You need bullet points. Oh, I want to do this by this time, at this time, with this amount, with this person. Be as clear as possible. Now going to spiritual growth, you know, this could be, oh, this is this amount of money you want to give to this particular, you know, church. If you belong to a church, I want to serve better. I want to do this better. I was giving an example on the call 2 days ago, the Q&A we had on Telegram, and I was saying that one of the spiritual goals I had for this year, when this year started getting busy, I told myself that in as much as I travel a lot, the moment I'm getting back into service, right? Because I serve in the media team in my church. So you could literally see me coming off a plane on Wednesday evening, and I'm heading straight to church to go and serve, right? Not because of anything, because I know this is where I feel very at peace, very safe, and all of that. And this is my family, this is my community, this is where I serve God in my own little way, right? So I make that conscious effort to say, yeah, life can be busy, but I'll have to make time, right, for what matters most to me. So these are some of the examples of things that I set under my spiritual goal. It could be that, oh, you want to now serve better, you want to give this amount of hours be very clear, be very definitive, right? So that's how I share my goals, as simple as ABC. So going to the next slide. So elements of goal setting. I know we have the SMART, SMART, but just follow through. For me, it's very specific. Your goal setting has to be very specific. So I'm going to give a very good example. So let's say you are currently in entry level role. Let's say you just got into, let's say something like product marketing, right? And you're like, okay, yeah, this is entry level, but 2024, I really want to like move up the ladder in my career. I'll say, okay, what I want to do between January and December, I want to move up my career ladder in my workspace or wherever you are. And then, okay, what do I need to do? That means by January to February, I should probably be learning more things that will make me get to that kind of level, that will make people trust me with the work that is required for that level. And I section it, right? I am very specific about it. January to February, this is what I'm doing. March to April, this is what I'm doing. April to May, oh, I'm going to be talking to people who have gone ahead of me. May to June, I'll be applying to another company. June to July, oh, I would have done this course, and done that course, right? So you have to be very specific. Also, make it measurable. Don't say, oh, in 2024, I'm going to. It doesn't work that way. Like, there's always a way to do what you want to do, right? So it's like saying, oh, you want to get something done, but they ask you, how do you want to get it done? What is the timeline? How do you measure it? Because what you don't have a basis for, you can't even measure it. So if you are told yourself that by 2024, I'm going to move up my career ladder, me typically, the first question I'll ask you is, so how are you going to measure if you have actually moved up? Is it by the knowledge that you have gained? Is it by the work that you have done? Is it by the kind of company that you're working in? How am I going to measure that you really, really sabi this thing, right? So for people who are not Nigerian, sabi means no. I need to remember this is a global audience. So for achievable, this is also, there are two sides to this, because most of the visions that you have or that you might have, they might not be things that are achievable in your mind. If you're very small-minded, right? They're not things that might be achievable in your mind. So this is where you also have to expand your mind and know that things are really possible. So I believe that anything that God tells you or that you want to do, there's nobody on earth that can stop you except God and you. Honestly, there's nobody that can say you cannot do this thing except you are not ready. That's what I always tell myself. So set achievable goals and be very honest with yourself. So you can have a bigger picture of what you want to do, but know that, okay, I don't need to rush it. So imagine somebody trying to build a skyscraper and they say, okay, in one day we must build all the scrapers, or how do they call it, all the floors of the skyscraper. Yeah, that's ambitious, but let's be very truthful. If you do that, the foundation is going to go away. It's going to just demolish the whole building. So you have to be very realistic with yourself to say, okay, yeah, I want to build this skyscraper, but January, I'll lay the foundation. February, I'll do quality control. March, I'll do this. I'll get the best instruments. I'll get the best workers. So be very, very timely, be very, very, specific, and also set goals that you can achieve so that you don't put pressure on yourself. So I'm going to give another very personal example. The big picture that I have for my business is that we have branches in literally every state, or at least the major states in Nigeria. But beyond that, have branch in Europe, in the US. That's how crazy and big I want my brand to be. And I have a picture of it on my phone, like I can see thousands of staff packing t-shirts, selling it to different brands, being distributors and things like that. But at this point, is the vision valid? Of course, yes, it is valid, but what can I do at this point? Oh, do I wait till I have all the money to go and build all those? It doesn't even work. You need to build that journey. You need to build that credibility so that people who want to trust you with the big distributors' money can trust you with the small ones now. And they know that you have a track record. You're not just coming out of the hole, right? So you need to set it as not overwhelming as possible. This year I was thinking of, oh yeah, we want to move out of our store. Yeah, we need it's not like we actually need more space. We don't need more space, but I just had a feeling like, yeah, I wanted something new. It's a new year thing, that vibe that you feel that I need to do something new. It's a new year. And I just heard in my spirit that, see, stay where you are. You can maybe repaint the store, change the look, but there's no valid reason for you to move out of that store, right? So now, rather than focusing my money and spending my money on getting a new store, if you're Nigerian, you know what that means, especially in Abuja, right? And getting new store. I'd rather pump that money into getting goods for my business, which I actually did. And I'm really happy that I did so. So you need to compare things. And this is why I always say it, you cannot work with anybody's time. You cannot even work with your friend's time. What you're doing is so different. Externally, people have expectations of you that this is where you should be, but you know yourself, better. You know yourself, you know what you can do better, you know everything better. There'll be a time for Q&A. So of course you can still keep raising your hand, and I'll answer all those questions. And then your goals have to be rewarding. And this is why I think many of us feel, me, I'm soft like babe. If I set a goal, there's a reward system. So let me give you an example. When I was young, my mommy would say, I didn't like one type of food. Sorry to semo lovers, I was not a fan of semo. If you're not Nigerian, semo is a swallow that we eat. And I just couldn't bring myself to the fact that people consume this thing. Now I eat it, but not so much. And I'm like, there are other better food. Please eat other things. But then my mom, she just wanted to force me to eat it. And then she'll say, if you take 2 swallows, like if you take 2 gulps or something, I will give you a bottle of Pepsi. Pepsi, Semo. Okay, no problem now. So when I take it, she'll give me a cup. Remembering it now, the whole thing is even funny. And she created a reward system that made me do what I didn't want to do. So you as an individual, you're your biggest cheerleader, right? I told myself that this year, if I go on my last travel, whatever heaven and earth will come down, I must buy myself something. If I'm not going to buy myself a bag, I'll buy myself a shoe. I'll buy myself a dress, right? And that was because, man, I have tried this year and I just wanted to buy something for myself to make myself happy. And I achieved all the things that I wanted to, even more than that. So many of us are just working and working and working and working. You can't even say, oh, this is what I'm going to do for myself if I get this done. Oh, when I finish this task, I'm just going to go and buy Domino's. It might sound as funny as possible, but it just, inspires you to do more than what you've done before. So create a reward system for yourself. It's a good thing, right? So don't just work, set goals. As I'm setting goal for 2024, I'm saying, okay, if I'm able to do this thing January to March, I'm going to take 20% of this profit. I'll go and do this. That is how I do and set my goals. Also, goal setting is very prophetic, right? For people who are Christians who are on this call, one of the things I always say is, there's always this word that we get, in January in church, or wherever you worship. And these are the words that literally guide us, maybe as a church or as a community, and then you take your own personally. So last year for me, my pastor said it was year of flight. Amen. I took it very personal. I'm not joking. Like I took it so personal. I don't even know. Like immediately he said it, the first thing I did, I came to Canva. I did a design. I made the design my wallpaper. As funny, as basic as it seems, it just kept that thing in my face so long that it became my reality. And that's what prophetic words does to you. Like when they give it, you don't just say, oh yeah, amen, that's it. Go back, put it where you can see it every day. Put it on your laptop or your system. Anything you can do to just keep it in your face, in your mind, in your head. It helps a lot. And again, it guides everything that you're doing, right? It guides everything that you're doing. I remember very well that, there was something my pastor even said, and he was saying that, oh, this year you won't have to like compromise your values and your standards to get opportunities. And let me tell you, this was the year that I had very, very compromising setting. And I'm like, is this actually a test? Then I remember everything that my pastor actually said, about, okay, I'm trying to admit people into the room. Everything my pastor actually said about not compromising your stand. And I'm like, okay, he actually saw beforehand that this was what was going to happen. Those are prophetic and also they are very timely. So don't just say, oh, next year, like I said earlier, I want to do this. Put a time to it. Put dates. Put at least people always say that plans change, this changes, but at least you have time. And if anything will change, you know how to adjust it and it will not take you off balance too much. So set timely goals. You can even cut it into, one of the things I do is I cut it into January, February, March, April. And then I do May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, and just like that, right? So you might want to cut your time that way. And depending, this is personal again, depending on the kind of work that you do, you can even cut your own timing into maybe monthly, or let's say 2 months, or let's say per week or 2 weeks. So always make sure your goals are very timely. Again, timely could mean another thing. You cannot, they always say you can't they say make hay while the sun shine. I'm not sure it's an adage or a proverb. But you can't do something where you're not supposed to do it. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So there's some things that you did not do last year, and it's not really because you didn't want to do it. It was just not the time, right? Maybe even if you have gotten that opportunity, you might have messed it up. If you have gotten that, if you've gotten the opportunity, you might have messed it up. If you've gotten that thing you really wanted, you might have messed it up. And I say this from a lot of experience. I feel like if I probably opened my store, let's say last 3 years or last 2 years, it would have been a disaster. Because one, I didn't really have good people management skills. And I just thought that, okay, yeah, you think you know how to do these things till you start managing people. But this year, I was able to do a lot of people management, although my staff members, they still stress me out, but we are good, right? So sometimes you need to grow into what you want. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but you need to grow into the things that you want. You need to grow personally to take on the things that you want. So set timely goals. If you know deep down you're not ready for this thing, to be very honest, there's no need to take it on because somebody else is taking it on. All right, I'm just going through the chat now. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope everyone is fine now. There are 2 co-hosts, so you can accept them. And if you're just joining, I apologize once again. There will be a replay. You have not missed too much, I promise. All right, so here are some of the questions I always ask myself when I want to set my goals. Why is actually the first thing? Why do I want to set this goal? How do I want to set it? When do I want to set it? And what do I want to do to get to these goals? So going back to why, this one is very important because in this time and age where there's so many reasons why people do the things that they're doing, and you might not even know it, to be very unconscious, it's very important to know why you want to do the thing that you're doing. Is it because you genuinely want to move, or you just want to do it so that, oh yeah, you can fit into whatever perception people have on you, have of you online? I think one of the major reasons why I wanted to move out of my store, apart from the fact that it's on 6th floor, I'd watched videos of one store launch, like I think it was in August. And I was like, yes, I need to move out of my store. And I said it unconsciously, but I realized that after that August, oh my God, the pressure to actually move out and get a new space was getting as much as I can imagine. And then I had to sit down and say, okay, give me 3 major reasons why you need to make this move. And I could not find concrete, that kind of reason that you say, I must go today. I couldn't find anything concrete. So you need to define your why. Why do you want to set this goal? Is it to be a better person? Is it because you want to get better at work? You want to serve your bosses or your co-workers or wherever you find yourself that you're working? Is it to serve better? And how do you want to set this goal? Oh, am I going to do it in an accountability system or just personally? I'm saying accountability system because, e.g., if you're like me, that you've never been to the gym and you want to start gymming, number 1 rule, don't go alone. Because after you go first day, you're not going to go again. So you need people that can call you and drag you and say, it's time for the gym, So you need to check if it's going to be an accountability system kind of goal or a personal goal. I set more of many personal goals, but there are other ones that I set with my friends. E.g., this December, I said, no matter what, I'm going to have as much fun as possible. It might sound funny and basic, but I know that is a goal, a win for me. I'm always working. My head is always on the goal. Like, what next can I do? What can I write? What can I put out there? So I'm always working in my head. So I had to like slow down this end of December. And me and my friends literally drew out an Excel sheet to say, okay, put what you are doing. Oh, we are going to this concert today, right? So you could have that kind of mechanism also just to put you on track. Because I feel like my friend never did those things. Trust me, I'll be in my house and nobody's going to beat me. So you need those systems to help you and also support you. And then going to the when do you want to get this done? Sorry. When do you want to get this done? You need to, that goes back to timing again. What day, what time, what month, what quarter do you want to get it done? Again, I need to say, you don't need to set goals that are just 2024 bound. You could set 2 to 3 years goals and say that, oh, okay, for 2024, this is what I'm going to do. For 2025, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a very good example. So when I was applying for my master's, I knew I was going to apply before I did my NYSC. That was 2 years after. So before I did my NYSC, I'd already started saying in my mind that if I will get posted, please, Lord, I want to be posted to a Ministry of Environment or any environmental institution so that it can buffer up my master's application. And thankfully, I was posted to Ministry of Environment because, of course, there was no way I would go. I studied marine biology. So that was where I was posted to. And these were not plans. I feel like if I was not posted there, I would have probably reached out to another organization that was environmentally inclined to take me in as a core member in Nigeria. So I had this plan before my master's. My master's was still 2 years after before I left Lagos. But I had something very clear in my mind that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And yeah, the NYSC part worked out, but the master's did not work out because I was rejected the first time I applied. I got a rejection email. But was the plan still there? Yes, all I had to do was go back to the plan and say, okay, now what am I going to do? And I applied again the next year. But did I already get what I wanted? Yes, I got it. But it didn't happen at the time I wanted it to happen. But I had a time frame. Oh, 2 to 3 years. Because I know if I probably don't get that master's when I finish my NYC, it's like if I go and relax and start making money, I'm not going to smell any master. So I wanted it to be as quick as possible, right? So you need to set that goal. It doesn't have to be year bound because I think this whole mindset of setting new goals, setting new goals, setting new goals, setting new goals every year and not even finding an extension for it as if your life will stop. I think it needs to end so that you are not too pressured to be able to achieve things that you're supposed to even achieve in 3 years and you want to do it in like 2 months, right? And then the last one is what? What do I need to do? Do I need to read better? Do I need to know things better? Or how do I get into this kind of spaces? One of the things I always say is that there are principles that guide where you want to be. There are things that you need to do. You don't just check anybody that makes it look easy out there, that looks easy out there. Trust me, they're doing a ton of work behind the scene. I promise you. And I can give a very good example. When I started out in my career or my career progression, I knew that there was not so much I knew about this field. Yeah, I had head knowledge. I knew what I wanted. But again, there were just very, very critical technical terms, technical expertise that I needed to thrive in the space, right? So I had to say, okay, yeah, tell me you have passion, but passion cannot drive you as far as you think it will. You also need knowledge, you need expertise, you need skills, to be able to grow and sustain yourself. Passion can get you into the room, but trust me, it is knowledge and character that sustains you. So I began to ask myself, the people in my field, what do they know? What don't I know? So I sat down and I did a skills audit. I asked myself, okay, what do I know? What don't I know? What do I need? I'll give another example. When I finished my master's, I knew that I had a thing for communications. I love communicating. I'm that person that helps you break down big, big things into small things. Like people should be able to understand. I'm very good at teaching. So I said, okay, environments, communications, and all of that. What can I do? So I said, I have some communication skills. I know how to do copywriting and all of those things. But in this space, what are the skills that I need to thrive corporately? So I sat down, I created a table. Skills that I need, skills needed, skills I have. So on this side, these are the skills needed. Or you need to know how to, if there are so many parts of communications. If you're a communications person, there's internal comms, there's strategic comms, and development communication. So I started to list it. Oh, some people, you know how to edit videos, you know how to, edit a website, you know how to do content, you know how to shoot videos, can you use Canva or Adobe and all those things. So I decided to list my own. Okay, I can use Canva, ticked. I can edit mobile videos. Oh, but do I need to get a camera to be able to do like proper videos? Since you're going to work in development space, you'll be on the field. So what are the skills needed for somebody who is on the field? So this is the way you think. Check what you have, check what is needed, and then bridge that gap. So last year I did, how am I saying last year? My head is already in a new year. This year, I did a lot of skills acquisition. I watched a lot of things on YouTube. Again, check. I am not saying courses, because sometimes you don't need all those courses, right? You might just need somebody that has been there to put you through. You might need YouTube that doesn't give you a certification. Because one of the things I've seen in my own space is that, honestly, nobody really cares about. Yeah, certification, they care about it if you are working in the science part of my work. But if you're working in like education and all of those things, they need your experience. So you might have a background that is not even in climate change, but in the past 3 years, you've worked in climate change. So what is your on-ground experience, right? So those are the things that they needed. So if I had a friend who was taking a course, because she's in the tech space, so if you're in the tech space, you have to take courses. That one is even a no-brainer. You have to take courses because it's a very technical space, right? So I wouldn't compare myself with my friend because my friend is taking courses and I'll now feel like a failure because I'm not. I don't need to, because my field doesn't require that I do that, right? So how, why, when, and what, but always start from why and then go to your how, then go to when, and then go to what. I hope you're learning one or two things. Please let me know in the comments box or chat box if you're getting one or two things. All right. So what do you do with visions and prophecies? So if you have big dreams, oh, I want to do this, what are the things that you do? Again, speaking from experience, here are some of the things that I do. I mean, I'm very clear as possible with my slides. These are the things that have worked for me. So the first thing is you need to believe that you can actually get this thing done. When I was in school, I would say this in Unilag, if my friend is here, she'll probably laugh. I will never understand in my life how you as a student, you are giving your clothes to a dry cleaner. And I just told myself that, why are you spending your money giving your clothes to a dry cleaner, And then I realized very soon that I was speaking from a point of lack. Like I didn't have money. So that's why I think that it's a big deal giving your clothes to a dry cleaner. So as I expanded in my life and God decided to bless me, I realized that, wow, giving your clothes to a dry cleaner is actually not a luxury. Like depending on what you're doing, how busy you are, it is not something big. People have washing machines in their house. So maybe it's because you never used one or you didn't use one, you saw it as a big deal. So you need to first work on your mindset. Like your mindset is the biggest asset you have. I mean, those times when I was really young, I used to watch people on TV. I'll hear them talk. I'll just go to the mirror and just practice. I'll speak to imaginary audience. I'll just do a lot of things. And then I remember when my friend was asking me one time, we were really young, and I remember very well. And she was just saying, oh, okay. So like, what do you now want to do now? What are your plans after you leave secondary school? I was just say, I'll just do my BSc and go and look for a job, maybe start a business. That was how far my mind was. But the moment I saw the light and I saw that these things were possible and people that were doing it, they don't have to wait. I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. Like, it's me and you guys. Like, we are going to be there. I'm going to do whatever it is I want to do. And I think your mind is your greatest asset, because if you think, when people say that they make millions of naira in their business, I'm like, who is paying you people? Who is buying your product? But now that I have hit that milestone in my business, we even do it on a monthly basis. I'm like, these things are actually possible. Like, it's not a big deal. And now I'm thinking, okay, how can we double this or triple this in 2024? So don't think where you are is everything that you are, or don't think where you are is where everything is. Trust me, there's so much out there. And this is why I always tell people that exposure is first a thing of the mind. Exposure is first a thing of your positioning and where you are. So the fact that you're even in Nigeria doesn't mean that, oh, you cannot. There's some people that I speak to in Nigeria, and I can see how far their mind has traveled because they've read things that are outside the confines of where they live or where they reside. So this is why I always say social media is your ticket, your global ticket. I tell you for free. I'm currently in my room I'm in Abuja. I have friends across different continents. These were friends I made online during work or maybe when I go to conferences. But because you think that this is where the whole life is, trust me, there's so much more out there. This is why if you're a career person, there's so much untapped resources, untapped progress that you will never imagine until you start using some platforms, until you start connecting with certain people, and then when you connect with them, they connect you with another person, and then that's how the chain goes and goes. But if you think you're comfortable where you are, it's okay, but it's not okay, to be honest. So there's more, and if God has said this is what you're going to do, believe it, honestly. I remember there was a tweet I tweeted was it last year coming into this year? And I just tweeted randomly that I wanted to visit, I think 6 countries. I did 8 this year. And when I tweeted that thing, I was just looking at myself that, where will I get the money? But every single trip that I went for this year has been sponsored. Every single one, except for, of course, like my honeymoon. But even that one is still sponsored. So I didn't pay for anything. And it just shows me that there's so much more out there. There are people looking for you, but because you're not out there, you're missing so many things. So believe it. Like if they say if you feel like this is what you want to do with your life, first of all, you need to believe it like your life depends on it. And then trust God to make it happen. If God says that, oh, I want to do this for you, don't say, but God, I'm just 19. But God, I just come from me that I'm from Lagos, me that I'm from this place. Who knows me? Who does this? But the truth is, God does not need permission. He doesn't even need your own. Okay, he needs your own permission, like it's a partnership, but it doesn't need any other person's permission to make things happen. So you need to bank on God's word every single time. Whatever you have in your mind that you want to go for it. I always say nobody can stop me to do anything except God says stop, don't do it. Me, I will do it. Anything I want to do, I will get it done. And that's a mindset. I was never in this mind space last 2 years, but I hit a light that I just feel like anything is possible. Like if God says this is what's going to happen, nothing on earth can stop it. It might not work. I mean, it might not work like right away, but it will eventually happen, honestly. So that's the way I think. So you need to fix your mindset. Very, very important. And ruthless execution. It's one thing to have vision. And I think this is another place that people feel, but to execute, it's like, yeah, it will just get it done. Like, but no, it's not going to happen by you sitting down in your house, right? Of course, operate from a place of rest and no pressure. I'm always an advocate for this. There's no pressure. Nobody's chasing you, right? But anything you do, do it well. This is one thing I hold on to. Do it well. Sorry. I've seen so far that what differentiates A from B might not be so many things. And I'm sure you guys have come across situations where you and maybe your friend, not even your friend, or maybe colleague, you're doing the same work, but somebody seems to be more recognized than you, right? And that's because maybe there's one extra thing they are just doing that's, maybe you're not doing. And this person, if you tell me to write a letter and send it to somebody, I mean, maybe a corporate letter, if I'm not in a corporate setting that is very rigid, where you already have all those things ready and all I have to do is insert, I'll always go the extra mile. Oh, can I design the letter on Canva to make it look better? I'm always the extra girl, and I've been abused and insulted for it, but it has always placed me above every other person, to be very honest. And I say this very humbly. If you tell me to do A, I am going to do A plus. Either you like it or not. It's only the boss that will tell me that, oh, now you overdid this thing, let's tone it down. But I will always go beyond my job. In this sense, my job description. I'm not saying do what, I'm not saying go and do what you're not meant to do in your office. So if you're an accountant, don't now go to receptionist area and say, today I want to be a receptionist. Like, it doesn't work. I'm only saying if you're an accountant, be an excellent accountant. If you're a student, be an excellent student. If you serve, be an excellent server, right? Do what you can do at the best that you can do it. And I think one person I really love so much in the Bible is David. Like, that guy, if you tell David to do anything, he will do it. And one thing I love about him, he has so many receipts. I mean, he has, if you tell him he can't do something, he will tell you, I have done this one before and I did it very well. Come and kill Goliath. A small thing now, they will tell you a small boy. But he didn't have to explain himself. All he had to do was to say he has killed lions and bears. That's enough evidence. So even if you don't like him, you can't deny his results. And that's one thing I've seen. Yeah, you don't need to like David, but he's an excellent man, and everything he has done. When he was playing music for Saul, he was excellent. They said they should go and look for him. That's how good you should be, any space that you find yourself. And I also like to add that, it's not just be good in one place and not be good. At least my best, when I was a poet, I was a good poet. Maybe not an excellent one, but I was very good at what I was doing. When I'm a business owner, I'm a very good business owner. If I'm a customer service person, I'm a very good customer service person, because this is who I am. And no matter where I go, it will always come as me. I will always enter the space as Temi, right? So these are the things that you need to like take care of. Be very ruthless with your execution. Like, even when you don't feel determined, somebody was asking me on the call that, well, sometimes you set goals, you don't feel like, oh my God, honestly, I actually felt like coming on this call. But right now there's a picnic in my church happening. And I'm like, I'm supposed to be there, to be bonding with my people. Do I feel like being there? But I made a commitment to you guys and I have to show up. That is what differentiates everybody. Ruthless execution, showing up even when you don't feel like, or even when you are not motivated to. I only say motivation is once in a while thing. For me, discipline is more important. That you get up off your bed, you're working a 9 to 5. It's not every day you want to go to work, but you go to work because you're being paid salary. So why do you not want to do the things that will make you grow as a person just because you don't feel motivated? So if you can stand up from your bed, especially if you're living in Lagos, sorry to Lagosians, if you're living in Lagos, you wake up by 4 a.m. to go to work. That same energy, use it for your personal life, use it for your personal projects. It's going to really help you. So you will not get motivated every time, but you need to do what you have to do. And that's what separates good people from excellent people. Discipline, ruthless execution. Another thing you need to do is to have foresight. This one, I cannot even overemphasize it. If you're working in any space, foresight will get you ahead of anybody. So this year, everybody's talking about climate education, but like last 4 years, when I saw it that this was going to become a thing, and how, because I recognized a gap. Oh, there was so much going on in the climate change space, but people were talking, but the people that were talking were people who knew about it, in the sense that maybe you went to school, you learned about it, or maybe you're in the field, you're a scientist. But the people that are even being affected on the ground, they don't know anything about this issue. So I said, this is actually a big gap. And the only thing to solve it is awareness and education. And I put my foot in that field. I said, this is my focus for the next 10 years or 6 years, climate education. And when it was time for people to start talking about it, it was easy for them to find me, because now I had already laid that foundation. People knew that this was what I was about, what I was talking about. So when they were looking for people to probably attend events, speak, or do trainings, I just remained top of mind for them, because I had already seen ahead that this is what is going to happen. Foresight for you could be, maybe in your organization, this is the way we know how to do accounting, and we impute this, and when we impute this in Excel, this happens and automatically it adds up. But then you're thinking, oh, is there any way they do accounting in another country that is not Nigeria or that is not Ghana, right? And you can only get all of this knowledge if you are reading and consuming things, if you're reading and seeing how other people are doing what they're doing. I always tell people that if I work in any organization, what I'm going to do, I'll find a parallel organization that is outside of that country to just see their workers, what skills do their workers have, right? So let me say you work in product marketing. I don't know why I keep saying product marketing, but hopefully there's somebody who works in that field here. you work in product marketing, or let me say fashion designing. Let me even go to fashion designing. And you make clothes. What is the future of cloth making? I have a friend who is in Ilorin. He just opened his store. And he used to tell me about virtual measurements. I don't like, the one that you stand up and then maybe if you guys are far away, you make a call and then they use like the tape rule to measure you. But he told me that's not what he's trying to talk about. Like you could literally stand in front of your phone takes your measurements and then it just goes into a website. When he was saying it, I'm like, please, can we just use tape rule so that I can get my accurate measurements? And I feel like the reason why he was saying that thing is because he lived in Europe and maybe he has seen that thing worked and he just felt like it was possible for him to replicate in Nigeria. That is foresight, right? So if this guy starts talking about this thing, it will look like a mad person in the country. But by the time people are catching up 10 years after, it's like, oh, there used to be one guy that actually told us about this virtual measurement system. So that is foresight for you. So if you're working in fashion designing, leave your Nigerian competitors, leave them, your Ghanaian competitors, leave all of them. Check outside, check what other people are doing. Let your originality remain. Very, very important. Be who you are, but see how other people are doing what you're doing outside of where you live, outside of, all the things that you're doing. So that's foresight, and that's how to stay ahead of your game and remain very, very relevant in your in your field. So we're just going to take 1 minute break. Let me get your feedback. I'm going to take water. Let me know if you are really getting anything from this session. Because I'm not seeing you people's face. So let me see the chats. Oh, there are actually people with their faces. I can see Adenike. Hi. So if you've learned anything, please let me know in the chat session. Type how you're feeling. Type how you're feeling. I feel like I've just been going like a car with no brake. All right. Okay. 1 more minute. If you want to get water, get water, get water, get water. Great. All right. Awesome. Somebody is asking a question. Just keep that question till Q&A time so that I don't miss it. Right. So I'm going to go back to my session now. Very quickly. Let me see. Okay, so these are like going back to the visioning and prophecy. So these are other things that have worked for me. Discernment. So you also have to be very, very alert. You as a person, you as a spiritual person, you have to know, oh, this is what I need to do at this time. I'm going to say something very quickly. I went for an event and I don't know, I just felt the nudge to leave where I was. I was going to go and grab lunch. And Mama just told me, like, go back to where you were coming from. There's somebody that you actually need to meet. Okay, no, not somebody you actually need to meet. And I don't know the reason why I was actually going back. Just like I carried myself and I went back. And trust me, I met somebody that then introduced me to his boss, which I was able to like work for. It was a very short walk. And in my mind, I'm like, that could have actually been an opportunity that I might have missed if I didn't obey or just go. Because sometimes when you have this, some people call it, is it intuition? Not intuition. You just have this feeling that, oh, let me go and do something. And you just get the guts to go and do it. Honestly, if I have a feeling that I should do something, I just go ahead and do it many a times, except I get a stop in my spirit to say, oh, don't do it. Oh, there's something wrong over there. And the next thing is your association. This one, I cannot even overemphasize it. They said birds of same feather, they flock together. if you're working in, let me use Adenike, for example. She works as a, I don't know if this is the right thing, but she works as a chef. She cooks, she does nice dishes, not local or international, chef. And every time I'm on her story, she's like posting her other chef people going on, different events, cooking. I'm like, okay, yeah, if you're a chef, you should be moving with chefs. I don't know if that makes sense. If you're a fashion designer, I'm not saying your closest friends should now be fashion designers, but let them be able to say this is a community of practice that you belong to, right? So you cannot say you're an accountant and your circle, your professional circle, there's not one accountant. Because what that does to you is that you think everything you know is what you know. So you actually get perspective from other people. So yeah, I have my personal friends and they don't even work in my space. Like they're so far off. E.g., like Black Writer doesn't even work in climate change. She's just Black Writer, right? So, but on the other hand, if I'm in my professional setting, right, I have so many colleagues. They're not necessarily my friends, but these are people in the space that I know I look up to. And it doesn't also have to be like this. It could be like this. They could be your peers, or they could be your mentors, or they could be people that you look up to. Because that's another mistake that we make, where we think that, oh, to be able to do the things that we need to do, we must know A and C. And that's one thing that has really guided my life. Me, I strongly believe that if I do my work very well and I put myself out there, I won't have to go and beg anybody for anything. And that has worked for me. So just get your association right. The kind of people that you even talk to about the things that you want to do. I have different friends, and for different projects I want to take on, there's certain friends that I say, oh, this is what I want to do. And I know that this is what they're going to say. And then there are some people that are not really close to me. I don't even bother sharing anything with them because I'm like, yeah, you're my friend, but this is where you are on this level. What I'm about to say, your mind might not be able to capture it. I don't want someone to come and tell me not to do it, right? So you have to be very discerning and pay attention to your association and section your association. Their friends, their colleagues, their acquaintances, there are people that you work with, their bosses, their mentors. So take your time this year to also, so that you don't get disappointed, section your friendship, your association, so that you know what you're giving to what you're getting from what. When I say get, I'm not saying go and collect things from people. I'm saying, oh, this person, if I need to learn about my field, this is where I go. This is the association that I belong to, right? Also, you need to be very prayerful. I can't, this one is even the most important thing, because the way if you have light in a room, what gives you that light is not the light, right? So if you put on a generator, it's because there's something generating power that is giving power to the light. So everybody that you see, I like to say that everybody that you see excelling online, there's always a spiritual aspect, either good spirituality or bad spirituality, right? Even for artists that are blown, a lot of them, you see them, they do things like behind the scenes. And I'm not saying diabolical stuff. What it means to them might be different. It could be taking different things. You could be doing other things behind the scene, but there's always a very spiritual aspect to life beyond the physical, right? And I think many of us can agree to this. So your prayer has to be, very, very consistent, because what we see these days is that, oh, people desire what's the result that people have, but not the lifestyle that got them that result. So that's very, very important. Take care of yourself in prayers. It will save you a lot of stress and headache. Also, the last one, you have to be very courageous. And I've talked about this. Your mindset is the biggest thing you can ever fix. If you cannot fix it first, just forget about goal setting. If you set it, you won't do it. So you need to be courageous to go after anything that you want, everything that you want. I was that when I was really small. I was that person that when they say, they can't do it, I'm always that person in the front. I want to go and show you that we can do it, except for like very, very strenuous physical activities. But the moment you even tell me I can't do something, that's when I want to show you that there are no limits to how God has created us, right? So you need courage. As in some things you would have done it, you just say, Jesus, what have I put myself inside? I remember when I got my store and I had to furnish, although I put the budget for the furnishing, and then things started getting expensive. I'm like, Jesus, who sent me a message? Nobody chased me for my house. So I could have just put my table in my house. My customers will still buy from me because 80% of my customers were online. But that expansion was so needed because people could now work in, I could bring in more staff members and all of that. But at that point, I go to the middle. I'm like, have you ever done something? I'm like, Jesus, now who sent me to do this? That was where I was last year, and everything turned out fine in the end. So sometimes you'd have gotten into the situation and you're like, okay, I was not supposed to do this thing, but you're supposed to. It's just that now you're at a level where you're not used to anymore. You've left your comfort zone and things are looking very unfamiliar, right? So you need to be very, very courageous. Big things require big moves. So in this your 2024, as in do something that even you, when you do it, you're like, Jesus, was that me? If you've not done it, you've not gotten to that level where you've done something really bigger than yourself. And I think we're made for more, to be very honest. So stop playing small, right? So let me say you're a business owner, let me say you sell a product, you've been doing 50 per day. At a time, I think we're taking like 10 orders. I think I still have a video of it on my page. And I was excited for 10 orders. And I made 10 orders, maybe in like 2 weeks or 1 week. And then I changed it. I said, okay, we'll do 50. And then we did 50. I'm like, it's not that hard. Maybe I just need to increase my marketing. And then we did 100. And then we did 200. And then next year I'm thinking, it's possible to actually get 1,000 orders in 1 month. It's beans, right? So if you get to one level, your mind expands. If you get to another level, your mind expands. And this is me. I'm about to have a meeting with my staff members to say, our target every month now in 2024 is 1,000 orders. I don't know how we're going to do it, but this is it. So me, I always also like to set things that I know that it will get me to work, right? So don't set, if your mind is telling you put 1,000, don't set 20. That 20 will not get you anywhere, right? So try to do things that are really bigger than you. And what that does is that when you also set those kind of goals, you're not sitting back. Okay, now that we're going to be doing 1,000 orders, what do I need to do better? Do I need to add more product to what we're selling, which I'm already doing? Do I need to, get more staff members? Do I need to get better with my customer service? Do we need a website to prepare for that kind of huge inflow of orders and things like that? So you also need to think about what when you're thinking about the goal itself. So I have talked about that, and I'll just go very quickly to doing your vision board. I know we've all been waiting for it. So we're not going to, in the resources that I sent, you see that I linked a video to how to create a vision board. So I don't want to take much of our time, so I can do more Q&A and answer more questions. So if you watch that video, you see how you can create your own e-vision board. And all you need is Canva, right? So if you don't have access to that resources, if Dolapo is on the call, can you please drop the link to the resources here? Or if anyone has it, just drop it in the chat session. I'll be waiting. If anyone has a link, please drop it in the chat session. Awesome. So Dolapo is going to send it, and all that you need is there inside. So I'll go to my goal setting workbook and tell you what I put. I've already added it as a resource also, so you can print as many copies as you want. So I'm going to show you how I do it, the sessions, what I put inside each of the section. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I will go to the screen for the goal setting workbook. I showed you the 3 categories that I set. So goal category, we have professional, personal, and spiritual. So in this place, I can actually put where this goal category is. I can put personal, and then the dates is the date you are working, you are writing, you're filling this sheet. So let's say it's January 1st, 2024. What is the goal? Again, don't bombard yourself, right? You can use each of these sheets for different goals. So the goal could be, if I put sell 1,000 products every month, be as clear as possible. Sell 1,000 products every month. Why do I want to achieve this? Of course, so I can get, more money in my business. I can expand my business. It can be 3 reasons, but for me, it's for expansion, so I can get money to buy other things to move the business forward and things like that. Problems that may appear. Number 1, maybe problems that may appear is low sales, bad customer service, large inflow of orders and not being able to manage it. What are the possible solutions? Work on our website, train my staff on customer experience, customer service, right? So pair the solution to the problem. And the problems that may appear is literally you thinking ahead, not you thinking that this will run bad, but you thinking that, oh, if this doesn't work, what will I do in this case? What is your timeline? Oh, January, if I were you, I could, in this case for my business, I'll put January to December 2024. How will I monitor my process? We already have an Excel sheet in my business that I use to monitor all our sales. So currently we're doing like, I think like, not bad, like 200 in a month, right? So how will I monitor our process? By comparing what we did last year to this year, but most importantly, checking the Excel sheet if we made 1,000 sales, right? Tasks that I need to do to lead to my goal. Dates, maybe here you could put, under the date, you could put the month, depending on how you want to section it. You can say first quarter, second quarter. So for me, tasks that will lead to the goal. Number one, this is actually a sheet I use for the new, like a goal I set for my business. Number one, release new products. So right now, I'm working on 5 new products that are coming into my business next year. Some of them are already on their way. So I'll just put this, I've already done it. So it's like December, I did this in December. So the task is, print all the items that are coming that we're adding to the store, print all the 5 items. I'll click done. And then the next one is December. We're launching all of the majority of the products this December, because some of them I want people to use it like coming into the new year. So I'll also add it like December 23rd to 25th. Launch the products just like that. See, it's very clear. It makes it so clear for you. Nothing is complicated. Oh, January, do adverts on Instagram. Oh, February, do Google ads. This one, work with an influencer, train my staff members. Again, as you think externally about the result, think internally, right? Train my staff members on how to respond to customers properly. This is what you do and all of those things, right? So this is a goal setting worksheet. It's in your drive, it's in your resource, and you're going to have it as long as you want it, right? So you can print it out, you can use it. I think you can even open this in a Google Doc. You should be able to feel it yourself. But me, I like seeing my things. So I like to print and write. So I'll stop sharing again. And I'll just talk a bit about my time management and some of the things that I do to manage my time. Let me see if I'll be able to share my Google Calendar sheet. So there are two apps that I use to manage my time. The first one on my list is Google Calendar, the best app ever. And you can use that one on your phone. And what I do is everything that I need to do for today, for tomorrow, everything is literally, I'm trying to find my phone. Everything is literally on that calendar. So I always assume that if it's not on my calendar, I'm not doing it for the day. If I'm going to go and cut my hair, I'll write it there. The time I need to cut my hair, I'll write it there, right? Everything is always on my Google Calendar. Let me see if I can share some. Okay, I'll share my screen now. I have very funny things on my calendar, but hopefully you guys get to see it well. So this is what, so this was November 2023. And you find very funny things there, like call carpenter, make my nails, go to house, dye my hair, room 4 meetings and things like that. So automatically this calendar like sends me a notification that, oh, there's it's 30 minutes to this thing, is 1 hour to this thing, is 30 seconds to this thing, and I can set, time on it. I also attached a link on how to use Google Calendar in the resource hub. So this is what it looks like. This is even better. Like this October was the craziest. So I'm just showing you that this is how I manage my time. So it also allows me to say no to a lot of things. Because e.g., if you look at Monday night, October 2023, I'm like, even if I want to try, I can't squeeze you inside or do anything. Again, I have blockout times. Like if you check October 13th and 14th, I did not put anything there because I'm a human being. I cannot die, right? So these are some of the things. This is an app that I use. It works on desktop. It works on your phone. I even like the phone version more because it's just cute on phone. So I use it for my time management. So when I say no to people, my no is very final, right? There's nothing I can do. I have to breathe. And in between that, I'm not saying go and bombard your calendar. Some months are hotter than some months. Me, I knew that this 2023 was going to be very, very intense for me. And when another thing is knowing when to increase your labor when there is grace. Let me explain this. So in 2022, yeah, there were so many great things that were happening, but like I was still a little bit more relaxed. But then I just had a feeling that 2023 was going to be intense. And when the things that you've prayed for have come, it's not the time to now reduce your gear. Like you need to put your gear on on the fastest mode so that you are able to do all the things that you prayed for and also work on the things that you prayed for. So while a lot of people were telling me, oh yeah, this and that, oh this is too much, I'm like, oh, I prayed for this. I don't know what's going to happen in 2024. I know my life is going to be good, but I don't know how intense it's going to be or not intense. But now that you pray for something and it's right in your face, you better take the opportunity. Trust me. So you have moments like that. It's like a farmer that has planted maize or beans, and then they now finally grow. You now tell the farmer, "Hey, can you relax? Don't harvest your maize." Like it doesn't make sense, right? So you need to be very discerning and also apply pressure when there's answered prayer, right? So it's not the time to go and relax when God answers the prayer. It's time for more work actually. And in between also rest. That's one thing I do. There are certain, like my Sunday afternoon, nobody takes it from me. I'm always in church. I'm always hanging out or, just in my house watching Netflix. Nothing's going to happen. If you take my Sunday afternoon, that means you're a very, very important person, right? So these are some of the things that I do for my time management. It might not be the same for you. It might be different based on the kind of work that you do. Also, I use my notes app. So I'm not a fan of many, many apps that they say. I've tried Notion. Notion is more corporate for me, Sha. So I use my notes app, and on my notes app is where I dump everything that I do, things that I need to buy. I'm not sure if you guys can see my screen, but hopefully. So like I have like my to-do list and it's just on my notes app. So if you have a notes app that comes with your phone, just use it. Things that you can quickly access, without internet and things like that. So those are the things that I use for, I'm loving Notion now because it's making me more organized. But for like on the go stuff, I prefer my notes app. So Notion gangs are here. So I hope that you've learned a lot. I'm not sure. I know there are so many questions that you want to ask, and we're supposed to end by 7, but I'm going to extend this by like, let's say 10 to 15 minutes. I don't think I've missed out on anything that I promised to talk about in this webinar. I'm just going to go over it again and see if I mentioned everything. So how to perform a year-end review, we've talked about that. My winning strategies for goal setting, we've talked about that. how to grow in your career. Oh, this part, I'm going to take this part lastly. How to grow your career and remain consistently excellent and visible. Great, 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 great. All right. So I'm just going to take the growing in your career and remaining consistently excellent and visible. I'll take that for 5 minutes and then we'll go to Q&A. So I have some pointers in my notes. So let me just use it so I'm not off track. All right, so about growing in your career, and this applies to anyone. So say your career as whatever you're doing right now, even if you're a student, like you're a student, these principles actually apply to everyone. I have a note that I always use every time to just track me back and put me on track with my career growth and, visibility. First on the list is be an excellent person. You might want to write this down. There are 3 pivotal things. Be an excellent person. Nobody wants to work with people that are not excellent. So if you're doing whatever you're doing, make sure you are doing it well. Don't say, oh, because I'm not the owner of the company. Whatever it is I want to do, I can do and I can live. At least at the end of the day, I get my salary. Just be the person that goes the extra mile, right? And then the second one, you have to be a knowledgeable person. I have said this over and over again. The reason why it feels like some people know more than you is not because they are special, or let me just tell you the truth. It's because they've read so much. And if you call them to a room to come and talk about things that they've read, it's like so simple. I tell people that if I'm in a room and you tell me to talk about climate education, which has actually happened many times. I remember there was a time I was at the UN, my last UN trip, and there was this very high level meeting. I'm not joking. If you guys watch that video, that's currently on my Instagram, where I was speaking, where there was Roger Federer and, oh my God, that day was so funny. I did not prepare anything for that day because I just knew I had a meeting, but they didn't tell me what I wanted to come and do at the meeting. But they told me that it was a very high level meeting. And under 5 minutes, I had to put something together. Again, bear in mind, this was a day where I had many meetings back to back, and I was entering a meeting where people were seated. And because people already had a perception of young people and the fact that we're always very, yeah, we like to shout, but the knowledge is not really, really there. I didn't want to put that perception in people's mind. And under, what am I saying? Under 3 minutes, I had to whip up something on my iPad because, yeah, you can talk from your head, but in meetings like that, where they are like political people, where they are like heads of state, you can't just say something off your head. You have to be very careful with the things that you say, right? So I had to put something on my iPad real quick. In that room, did Wi-Fi, sent it to the people who took me there to say, okay, this is what I'm going to say. And they're like, yeah, well done. And in my head, I'm like, you people actually expected that I knew this thing. They're like, oh yeah, it's you now. But I'm able to do that because I have residual knowledge, right? So let people be able to trust you. In another setting, that might not have happened. They might have said, oh, we just wrote this one for you. Yeah, say this. But I never want to be that person where they always give me things to do. Always think ahead, always have things to do. Let me also tell you another trick. So when I was going to UNGA, I had a calendar of things I wanted to do or meetings that I was going to attend that I knew about. So I created a skeletal, I won't call them speeches because they're not speeches per se. Sometimes they're interventions, they're actual meetings, but for the sake of this, I'll say speech, right? So I created a skeletal speech for each of the sessions that I'm attended. Even my Instagram post, everything had the caption before I landed. That's how intentional I am. And the reason I did all of that is because I know how intense that time was going to be. And I never want to be caught in, that frenzy where I forget to do the things that I actually want to do, right? So you need to plan ahead. You need to be very, very proactive as even if you're young, because I believe that many people on this call are very young, you have to be very proactive. Don't get that label of, yeah, they are young. All they know how to do is to check Instagram. Yeah, I like Instagram, but trust me, when we are on that career stage, I'm a different Timmy. And this is how you need to operate. Let people be able to say you are, as in you know your work. If you think about fashion designing, who comes to mind? If you think about let's say coding, who comes to my mind? If you think about this, who comes to mind? Again, going back to who comes to mind is also a question of visibility. So you can be the best person, but honestly, we don't care. And we don't care because we can't see you. So if you are good, There's no need hiding yourself, to be very honest. If you don't like social media, that's fine. But put out your work. I'm not saying come and tell us about your life and tell us two truths and one lies about. No, we don't want to see it, or we actually want to see it. But if you don't want to post it, that is absolutely fine. But make sure that you're showing your work. Show your work, show your workings, right? If I talk about tech now, I think the guy that comes to my head every time is Hack Sultan. I don't think that guy has ever put his face online before. And the only reason why I remember him is because every time on Twitter, he's always talking about tech, every single time. I don't know what that guy looks like. But the reason why I can remember him is because he has constantly talked about this thing to the point that automatically, if you tell me, oh, who is what tech person, I'm like, I'm Sultan. I don't even know him. He doesn't even know me, right? So if they say, who are the people working in education? Can they mention your name 1 to 10? And it's a question of visibility also, not just walking in the dark, right? If you enter a room and there's no light, won't you stumble? You will stumble. But if there's somebody holding a, let's say a bulb or a bulb is on, you can see clearly. So always see yourself as light in any space that you are in. When I was in Dubai, there was a lady that actually sent me a message. And she was like, can you actually believe that I'm working on an assignment on call? And I've used all your videos to write my assignments. And in my mind, I'm like, this was somebody doing a master's. If I never, please give me a second. And I'm like, if I never ever did those videos, some people will never understand what copy is. She will know, she might be able to do her assignments, of course, without me. But did I make it easy for her? Yes, I did. So you have to be very intentional and stop hiding. If that's the only thing in this call that you get, please stop hiding. I know so many amazing people. And sometimes I meet them, I'm like, where on earth have you been? Right? So please, if you're working, if you're in a corporate space, be visible, let people know you, right? And let them be able to say, this is what you're doing. Something happened on LinkedIn 2 days ago. There was somebody that put out a role for a climate education role. And I saw so many people mention me on that post. Mind you, I actually know the person looking for a person, I mean the person for the role. I know him, right? But it just really shows me that, oh wow, so people actually know that this is what I do. That's how well it should be for you, that if they put out something, they're able to tag you and say, oh, I know this person works in this. I know this person works in this. So stop hiding, right? And I've talked about being an excellent person and being visible. The reason why some of your co-workers, they're getting all the goodies, is not because they are the best. It's because they are the ones showing themselves the most. And you say they are doing too much. Do too much. That's how they know that you are there, right? There's so many people competing for attention. When I say competing for attention, this world is literally a game of attention, to be very honest. The reason why you will stop and scroll on an Instagram video that catches your attention is because the person deliberately wanted you to watch the video for, let's say, at least the first 3 seconds, they'll put something very catchy. And in the end, sometimes you watch this video and you're like, so this is what you wanted to see. Please get out of my screen. But did you watch it? You watched it because it grabbed your attention. So you are in a game of attention. So you need to, but in a good way. I'm not saying now be lying about yourself and overbrand yourself that people don't even recognize who you are and what you're not, right? But be very, very visible. So the third one, 3 things you need to be an excellent person. You need to be very knowledgeable, and then you need to be valuable, right? Nobody wants to work with people that are not valuable. If they know that they can't come to you for this, for that, they will not come to you, right? It's because you have value to give. That's why people say, oh, let me speak to this person. I'm very sure I'll get answers to my question. Let me do this for this person. I'm very sure, she'll be able to provide solutions to some of the things that I'm probably going through, or some of the questions that I have, right? So you need to be knowledgeable, you need to be an excellent person, and you need to be a valuable person. And under excellence, we have discipline, which I've talked about. You don't always feel like doing the things that you want to do, but you have to show up. And then you also have to, focus on ruthless execution. If they tell you to do A, do A plus. People will tell you you're doing too much, but keep doing too much, right? I was told I talk too much, but now I'm just looking at my bank account, although I've spent all the money on so many projects, and I realized how much speaking too much actually made me this year. So we're good. If that is what puts food on my table, we're good. In as much as I'm not saying something that is bad, we're good. So people always have opinion of you. And I want you to break out from that chain and thinking that once people can get a hold of how you operate in life, they become your God, either you like it or not, right? So if they say, oh, this is the way you look, and in this field, we don't take this kind of people. Oh, she does this too much. She's always shouting. She's always happy. She's always joyful. She's always this one. Oh, she's always looking like this, always ready. People always have things to say, right? And keep making them have things to say. Right? So you also have to be so these are 10 things you need to do. You have to be intentional, set goals, understand and leverage your strength and skills. So for some of us, it's easy for us to post on social media, maybe on Instagram. For some of you, LinkedIn is your best bet. So don't try to now force yourself to post on Instagram if you're doing well on LinkedIn. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just trying to say, check the things that you know how to do and do them well, right? I might not be the finance person. I understand 1+1 and 2+2, but like all those bookkeeping things, I rather outsource it and focus on marketing my business. I'm very good at that. Telling you to come and buy something, I know how to sell. So I rather focus on what I need to do and what I know how to do and apply pressure than trying to do what another person can actually do, right? So be intentional, set goals, understand and leverage your strength and skills, stay consistent and visible. Don't post today. I've said this before, you're not Wizkid. It's only Wizkid that posts and goes on his fans for like 1 year. You're not Wizkid. Post. Don't post flower and go. Post on your page. Tell people what you're up to. Tell us your business. When I say your business, like, oh, this is what I do. I'm a fashion designer. I'm not saying come and tell us your family history. I'm just saying show up on your page. This is what my organization has been, to show your work. It might not be your person, but show your work, right? So don't post something today. If you go to a store that sells, let me say they sell bread, and you enter the store on Monday, they sell bread. Nice bread, oh, it's your favorite bread. On Tuesday, you go there. The person is there, but they've not resumed by 9 o'clock. And then on Wednesday, they are not there. On Thursday, they are not there. No matter how much you like that bread, trust me, one day you say, it's okay. Let me just go and buy another bread. Right? So don't think that people like you too much not to let you go. See, everybody's dispensable, at least to the best of my knowledge. If you go, there's so many other replacements. It might not be as good as you are, but people will always catch up with time, right? So don't think too highly of yourself that, oh yeah, I can just ghost on my career, ghost on my life. Of course, there are times of retreat where you are outside, I mean, you are not out there that people can even see what you're doing. And it's okay, maybe you are going through life or things are happening. We're human beings. But I mean, be consistent and don't be a fashion designer today. It's okay to, especially if you're a student. So I'm talking to people that are already like in their junior level role or senior level role. Don't go with what is popular. I remember there was a time that there was a wave of career change, which was really good because I saw a lot of young people now felt really better, they felt good, they were earning more, which is good. But for some of you, that's not the field you want to go to, right? That's not what you really want to do. So why not just stay where you are? You can do side businesses, but that's not the core of the things that you're doing, right? But it's just temporary. So I'm saying this because I've done a lot of things. I've been a poet, I've sold earrings, I've sold jewelries, I've sold journals. See, I've done everything you can think of, right? But just make sure that it gets to a point where you're not that confused person anymore. So if you're still at your growing stage, that is absolutely okay. But you have to get to a point where you know that this is what you're known for. If I say Tony Elumelu now, 2 things come to my head: African entrepreneurship and money. Honestly, like money and wealth, that's what comes to my head. If I say Vicky James now, for those that know her, fashion designing. And even with the fashion designing, there's something I know her for is corset. She has corset that can snatch your whole body, right? So even in fashion designing, she has her own niche. But don't niche down quickly if you're not too sure what you want to do. So now again, I'm speaking to junior level and senior level role kind of people. If you're a student, if you're just coming into the space or you're just trying to find your foot, it's okay to try many things. When I was in my NYC, I was selling jewelries. Nobody caught me for it. But on the side, I knew that I wanted to do climate change as a core profession. I was selling jewelries to make money, right? But let people know that this is what you do. So I said 10 things, right? Be intentional and set goals, understand and leverage your strength, stay consistent and visible, embrace continuous professional development, stay hungry and not get comfortable. What you know is not the best thing, right? What you know is not what you know. Like, that's not everything that exists in this world. I tell you for free. Leverage the right digital platforms. I've said that. Put in the work and show up ready. You always meet me ready. Evolve and build a personal brand. When I say build a personal brand, now again, disclaimer, I'm not saying go and use aesthetics, and I'm not saying go and use designs. If you check my page, there's nothing like aesthetics there. I post anything I want to post at any time with any color, but I have a personal brand in my head. When I say in my head, like, this is when people come in contact with Temi, this is how I want them to feel. I want them to feel happy. I want them to feel joyful. I want them to feel like, oh yeah, this is my big sister kind of vibe. Oh, this is my friend. I can talk to her. I can talk to Temi, right? So that is the kind of way I want people to feel like when they come in contact with me. So for me, personal branding is not even designs or colors and all those things. It's more about you. Who are you online and offline? Who are you when people meet you, right? Again, circling back, I'll use Tony Elumelu. In my head, even before like meeting him physically, which I've met him like 3 times, the perception I have of him is, yeah, he's a cool guy. I think everybody feels that way about Tony Elumelu. Like, he's a cool guy. He's somebody that, oh, I can see outside and just say hi to, like, wave from afar, and he's going to actually answer me. And that is who he is in real life. So imagine you now meet him in real life. He's like, hey, don't come near me, that kind of vibe. You feel like that, but online, you're adjusting people's style, you are smiling. How come your online and offline life is not the same thing, right? So that's personal branding for me, who you are as a person, right? So you can ask your questions, you can start adding your questions in the chat, and then evolve and build a personal brand. I've talked about that. Network efficiently and build community. Ask questions. If you, I feel like one thing that the people I've worked with, my bosses, they know me for, I can ask questions. If you tell me to do something, I'll tell you, please, how do you want me to do it? Where do I find the resources to do it? How do I do this? Or is there any way I can go and get some? I ask questions a lot, and it's better to ask questions than to get lost. So don't be shy. If you don't know, it's okay. I don't feel like being a beginner is a very good thing, because now it's like there's so many things available for you to read, and it's very good for you to like check all the things that you want before you now step your feet into the game. And play the long-term game and document. Play the long-term game. I say this because when, the whole climate change education thing started recently, like let's say last 2 years, 3 years, the buzz, it was not, I was not even making money, of course. Like last 4 years, last 5 years, I wasn't making any money. It was just a passion for me and all of those things. But I knew that I wanted to play the long-term game. And long-term game is that it keeps you top of mind. What do you know Coca-Cola for? They do drinks. What do you know Pepsi for? They do drinks. What do you know Funke Akindele for? She acts movies. As she evolved, she has evolved to a producer. She now has an academy, but Funke Akindele is still Funke Akindele. So stay in the game for long. So everything that you do, think about long term. Oh, is this going to be, will this work in 2025? Will this work in 2026? And last one, document. Oh my God, I can't overemphasize this. If you ask me for a picture of my NYC, I have. When I was 10 years old, I have. When I was 12 years old, I have. Everything. Because it's the people that document that are grateful. Some of you think you've not achieved anything this year, but it's because you're not taking pictures, you're not taking videos, you're not writing anything down. You think your life is not progressing, but check where you were in January. That is not where you are in December. So if you don't document, you think your life is stagnant, right? Write things. I remember very vividly, this time last year, I was not in this room, but I was in my room packing orders with, I can remember very well, packing orders on a table. I'm sure you guys have seen that video inside my house. And that was when I just returned to Nigeria. I didn't even have furniture. I didn't have anything. I just put a table in my house and I packed orders. And I was still as joyful as I was, even like as I am right now. Like, I was joyful then. So nothing really changed. Situations changed, but who I was and who I am as a person still remains. So document, It's because you're not documenting. That's why I think your life is stagnant. Check. God has been good, right? So now we're just going to go to the Q&A very quickly. So I'll go to the ones in the chat and then we'll do the raising of the hand. I can see everybody raising their hand. So someone said, being a non-profit owner and entrepreneur, you can show what you're doing in the community and get funding to sponsor international sessions. Can you bring this home to those who are not in your sort of field? Regular 9-to-5s, how can people get opportunity to share knowledge globally, possibly funded and not a non-profit founder or entrepreneur? So I think there's also another perception people have about opportunities. You don't need to own anything. Let me even start from there. You don't need to own an NGO, or you can be a regular 9-to-5 person and access opportunities. And how can you do so? So if you can give me an example of the kind of field you are in as a career person, I think that would really, really help, if you don't mind. So maybe if you answer that, I'll just circle back to your question very quickly. Don't worry, I won't forget. So the next question, what if a person doesn't want visibility but prefers to succeed in the shadows? Is the social media scene for long-term success? No, social media scene is not for long-term success. But maybe let me ask again, how do you want to stay visible? So visibility can mean so many things to you. I know, again, let me put disclaimer. I know many people who are doing great. I think Wizkid is an example. If you go to Wizkid page now, maybe he has one post. That guy is such a mysterious man. Maybe one post, and he's doing well. I mean, like, the post is not what is getting him the money or the success that he has or anything. But check, there was a time he was consistently posting and being in our face. But now he has worked to a point where it doesn't need to prove anything to you, right? I'm going to give you a very good example about this whole visibility thing. You don't need to like social media, to be very honest. Do you think everybody that likes social media, everybody on social media likes social media? Trust me, not everybody. But I'll give this very good example. So I made a video on my page, and this year I didn't even think about like influencing for brands and stuff. But every single influencing jobs I have gotten that is on my Instagram right now were gotten because I made one video, and somebody saw it and said, "Oh, you're fit. Oh, I'll share your profile with this brand. Let's work with you." And just like that, right? So it's okay. You can decide not to be visible, but to me, I'm like, why are you working and not visible? It's like, why are you working in the shadows? Again, it totally depends on the work you're doing in that sense. Let me use a church setting, for example. They are in a choir, there's an artist. Not an artist, sorry. There's a singer. I went for a concert yesterday, so artist is in my mind. There's a singer, there's a person that plays the piano, there's a drummer. And most of the time, the drummer in my church is always like at the back, like they did not really shine the lights. You're not really seeing. But is it drumming? It's drumming. If it doesn't drum, will the music sound nice? No, it will not really sound cohesive. But again, on the church front, it cannot say, oh, I want to bring my drum to the front. Let everybody see that I'm playing well. But him personally, if he's a drummer personally, I expect of him that he's talking about his work personally, maybe via social media or traditional media, radio or anything, if that is what brings food to his table. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. So sometimes in your office, you are the back end person, you are the back guy. But if you want more for yourself, that's if you want more for yourself and say, okay, this is what I want to do. You can decide that, okay, maybe personally, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be talking more about this. I'm going to be talking more about that. I'll give another person's example. There's Dupe Olushola. Dupe Olushola I've studied so much. Like, I knew where she used to work, what her role was, because I love her so much. She works at Transcorp, if I'm right. And she leads, like, she has a good leading role at Transcorp. But Transcorp is Transcorp. She does a lot of back-end work, marketing work. But on her page, every time you see, if their revenue shoots up by 50%, she will come and post it on her own personal page to show you people that she was part of the process. Because see, if you don't blow your trumpet and say this is your work, everybody will say, yeah, Transcorp hits 50% revenue this year. I'm just tentatively or like hypothetically, which they actually did that many times. 33% shoot up on their revenue in 2022. But she's here to tell you that, hello, I was part of the process, because she's working in an organization, and because time transcends. If she leaves Transcorp, she's still Dupe Olushola. She can go to another organization and say that, oh, this was what I was able to do. And there's evidence to show for it, right? So if you really want to be, it's okay if you don't want to be out there, that's absolutely fine, depending on your work. Again, I'm speaking surface level. So I don't know what you're doing on a personal level, but if you really want growth, global opportunities, you need to be out there, because somebody in Peru or Mexico doesn't know what you're doing. Honestly, they're not soothsayers. They are not prophets. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know you. And that's the truth. Nobody knows you. That's the truth. They don't know me, except I say, my name is Temi. This is what I do. They don't. You won't see me on the road and assume this is who I am, except for the fact that I tell you, or you see me online and can assume and put one and one together and say, this is what I do. Right? So please, it's just a no-brainer for some certain levels of things that you do. So please, can you give tips on how you check that you're on track with your goals? So the goal, you can track your goals with the same document I shared in the resource, right? So if you say, I want to do this, and that, there's a checkbox, right? And then what I do monthly reviews. I do 3 month reviews. So for my business, again, let me give another example. For my business, there are daily reviews that I do, there are weekly reviews that I do, and there are monthly reviews. For daily reviews, daily reviews for me as a business owner, all I have to do is I go to my phone, check our Instagram, see how my staff members has answered the clients, check everybody if anybody has complained about delivery, how were they responded to. That's daily review for me. So it's literally just going through our chat in the group chat and saying, okay, this was good. Why did you answer this client this way? Why did you send this? Why didn't you tell me about this one? That's daily review. And then for weekly review, our communications person or our community manager does videos and she sends to me to edit. So let's say 2 times in a week, she sends me like this bulk of videos, and all I do is just check my phone. Okay, please delete this frame. This does not align with our brand. Oh, this is not who we are. Delete this picture. Don't ever use this picture again. Oh, this was a really nice video. Don't, you can continue this. Oh, change the caption, edit it. Oh, this is not a good grammar. So that's weekly review for me. And monthly review for me is me going through our Excel sheet. So we have this big, huge sales Excel sheet, and I go through it, I check everything, and I say, oh, why is it not updated? Why is November not done? But what did you do well? How many sales? I compare it to the last month's sales. So again, tracking can be in section. So if you say that in this month, I want to take one course, have you started looking out for the course? Have you paid for the course? Week 1, have you learned your week 1 course? Have you learned your week 2 course? So that's how you track your goals. So for me, for my business, I do daily, weekly. Again, the review doesn't have to be something very serious, right? So it could be just you checking the things that you have. So daily, weekly, and monthly. And then when it's half of the year, I sit down, like me and my team members, we always have meetings a lot. And I say, oh, this is not working. E.g. next year, we're stopping a lot of products in my business, and I'm just sticking to like certain product, because I saw that this year we had a lot of issues with identity. I couldn't put into words who we are as a brand. And that only came from me reviewing at the end of the year and saying, this must not follow us into 2024. So if you see a lot of changes in my business, it's because there's been a lot of thought process and review that has gone into it, right? So I hope that answers your question, Oyekon. Very quickly, I'll go to Grace. As a Chevening scholar, any tips for interview and other aspect for someone applying? This is Chevening scholarship is a total different webinar on its own, but I have many free resources on Chevening. If you go to my YouTube, there was a video I made with my husband on Chevening interview, and it's probably one of the best videos out there. My husband also did a video with his friends during his own time. It's the most watched Chevening video from any scholar, and I say this very proudly because the substance is so good. So you might want to check YouTube or send me a DM. I can share you the link, but search for Chevening interview tips, because I know you guys might be getting emails soon. I'm not too sure, but check. But there's a lot of resources, trust me. So I cannot address this on the call, because there are tons of resources I can share with you and you can watch for like 3 hours. So 2 questions. I have a long-term goal to partner with UNICEF in promoting child education and reducing period poverty in Africa. I don't know what specific steps to take in 2024. Secondly, you inspire me and I really love you. Were you always like this? What changed? What experience formed the global TV? I was not always like this. I feel like people that know me before now, I was not always like this, but there were so many constant things in my life. If you've known me for a long time, I'm a very excellent person. I overdo my things. Again, I'm very ambitious, so I was not always like this. And I think my experiences, people that I've met, the things I've seen have really shaped who I am as a person. So I was not always like this. And about UNICEF, so this is not, when you say partner with UNICEF, is it because I'm not sure if they give grants to individuals? One thing I know about UN bodies, they are always working on country level. So if they have grants to give out, they're always giving it to like countries. They work country partnerships or big agency partnerships or INGO partnerships like Save the Children and things like that. So about the UNICEF one, there's a platform called UN Volunteers. You might want to volunteer with them so that you can get into the space, right? So again, you need to ask yourself, why do you want to partner with UNICEF? For what reason? Will like you partner with UNICEF, what does it add to your work, right? What does it add to the work that you do? I don't have any partnership with the UN and I'm doing absolutely fine. I don't have, do I kind of like aspire to work there? Honestly, it's not something I wake up and I think, oh, I want to work at the UN. No, it's not like top of my wish list at all. If it happens, it happens. But like, it's not my dream, right? So because again, I get a lot of validation from the work that I do on the ground and with other organizations. So you need to start asking yourself, why do you want to partner with UNICEF? Is it because, oh, they will be able to give more credibility to your work, which I don't really think so, right? If you're doing, there's so many people doing amazing work, they're not even affiliated to the UN at all. I'll tell you this one for free. Is the UN a good organization to partner with? Of course. But again, if you really want this, you might go maybe the volunteering way, check the UN volunteer platform. If there's anything you can do, to get access. Okay. What do you do when your timeline for certain goals has passed and you've not been able to finish? I continue. Honestly, I continue. When I was looking for my store, I said by January, I must get a place, or by December. And I remember I went, all the stores I went to, I'm like, Jesus, what is this? Do you mean me I'll pay for this? And I had to extend my search, my goal timeline. Again, goals are not, they can be definitive, but they are not the final bus stop. So, e.g., if you had planned to save 1 million this year, let me assume that your plan was to save 1 million. Just by inflation happening, your goal has already, it has plunged into the deep. Because right now, the value of 1 million is like this. Like I'm telling you, like, if you convert it to other currencies, it's like, what is this? Honestly, you can't even use it to buy any other thing like in other countries. So again, life happens, things happen. It's now two sides, not beating yourself up too much. If it's something you can't control, like government policies, all of those things. But if it's something within your control, what didn't you do better? But don't stop because you didn't meet the timeline, right? So that's what I do. I continue. Reaching most goals takes time, money, energy, and focus. Realizing that at the beginning and building a plan to stay focused. Knowing how to get refocused is critical. How can I help myself stay focused during all of these barriers? What's the solution to stay focused? Maybe accountability systems, number one. And again, reward system and seeing the end from the beginning, right? So I always tell myself, okay, so if I do this thing, what will happen? How would I feel about it? What's going to happen? What is at stake? That's another question. Because sometimes like motivation is such a fallacy, to be honest. Like it's a big lie. You won't be motivated. In fact, 80% of the time, you will not be motivated. But what is at stake? That's the question you should always ask yourself. And if you've gone off track with your goals, you can always come back. Like It's you who determines. You're the one that set the goals now. So you can make things around, move things around. So I hope that answers your question. But you need to be like very, very disciplined, depending on the kind of goal that you set. That's what's going to determine how you come back and stay on track again. Is there any example I can use for this, like in my personal experience? Um, so this year I was, I was telling my friends that I really wanted to like work in a corporate space, kind of. And that was a goal I set for myself. But I also, again, I didn't want to like work in an organization that wasn't aligned with what I was in because I was going to get frustrated. Right. So that was a goal. And this year I didn't work any 9 to 5. Do I feel bad? No, because I feel like maybe if I had done that, I would not be able to do all my travels. Maybe God had other plans. So again, you are human at your best. Things happen, things change. But then I'm like, okay, this is 2024. Let's give this a shot again. Nobody's going to arrest me because number one, I did not put it out that I'm looking for a job. So you wouldn't know if I reach my goal or not. Right. So you need to like know that you are the one that set the goal yourself. You can always go back on track and stay consistent with it. So the next question, thank you for this interesting. I would like to know how can someone move on from failure or the fear of failing. So I took a huge move, gave it my all, and it did not work out as planned and literally killed the motivation. And in my mind, I know I need to move on, but physically nothing. Go again. Go again. I think the worst thing ever that happened to me that I feel like, oh, my world is going to crumble was my Chimney scholarship. Jesus Christ. Like when you post your life for an opportunity, that was what I didn't really post my life, but it was like, if I don't get this thing, if you graduate from school, you're like, yeah, I'll do my NYC and boom, I'm off to the UK. That was a plan I had, like me, Nigeria. I don't go. I've come out. But God said, you have to wait. It's not the right time. And I'm so thankful it did not happen because that year that I didn't go was COVID. Ask anybody that went for chimney during COVID time. It was not a good experience. Me, I can tell you for free. So by the time I go back there, I was able to like, the next day when I got a lot of opportunities. I traveled. I was able to like do a lot of things I really wanted to do. So I imagine if I'd actually gone last year, I would have regretted it. So sometimes God is keeping you away from some of these opportunities, and sometimes it might not just be the time. So if you've invested a lot of energy, go again. That's what I'll just say. Me, I went again. By the time I was applying again, I came back hotter. I had written 2 books, I had done projects with big companies. I'm like, yes, when I go. And I remember very well on my evening interview, somebody asked me, the panelist asked me, what if we don't give you this scholarship now? Like, if you don't get it, what's going to happen? And I remember very well, I told the man, I'll continue with the work that I'm doing. This is not the end of life. I mean, like, it's just scholarship. So I don't know what the situation is with you, but go again. All the resources you need that I promised is already in the resource drive. So